You told us so many sources of capital and probably how different people have become successful. You talked about those who have inherited. Now we talk about Andrew Mwenda. How do you get here as an individual? How do you get here?
So now the different sources of the things that have helped me. Remember that I'm a journalist. So even when I was in high school, in Nakasua School, Senior 3, Senior 2, I started a newspaper there. I went to Barra High, tried to start a newspaper, they blocked me. When I was at Usoga College, I started a newspaper. When I was in Barra High and at Usoga College, I used to write, I was there 5, 6. I used to write letters to the editor in New Vision. So I was very opinionated, contributing to my opinions to a national newspaper. When I was at Makerere University, in my first year, I went to study journalism. I started writing for Monitor and I became a retained correspondent within the first 6 months of me joining the university. So from the time I joined the university, I've always been a professional working. By the time I finished university, you would find very few people in Uganda, ministers, members of parliament, people who were influential, who did not know my existence, had a very strong byline already in the newspaper. So one of my sources of capital was my skills capital as a passionate person. This earlier had said, to be successful in something, you must love it. Just assume, Nova, that you do a job you hate. You will be bored every day, angry, disgruntled. But just imagine you are Messi. You enjoy playing soccer and you earn money by indulging in your passion.
Exactly.
You get it? I like to write, I like to argue, I like to report things. I'm intensely and dangerously curious. I want to know things, what is happening. And that's what made me a successful investigative journalist when I was still an investigative journalist. Because I just want to know. You can imagine I've just come to sit in my office. This morning I'm rereading all these books I read and finished long ago. But I wanted to write an article about the coup in Mali. And each of these books is dealing with democracy. So imagine how much effort I put in. I don't know.
Where do you get the appetite to read? It is known to be an African culture.
It's something inculcated in me when I was young. By the time of 5, 6, 7, I was already reading. So now I read about 3 books every week. So the thing is that you must do something you're passionate about. So I'm passionate about reading. It is my hobby. If you throw me on a desert island with my library, I can stay there alone because I have my books. My books are the greatest companion I can have. Even books I have finished reading, like these 3 books, this one I must have read it in 2009. This one long ago. This one maybe 2010. But I peeled them out. I want to write an article on the coup in Mali. Because Mali is a democracy that has been beleaguered by now 2 coups in 2012 and now. And many people are so enthusiastic, they think that the establishment of a democratic system is an event, yet it's a process. And I think if it's a process, it lasts 3 years, actually it lasts generations. If you look at European countries, the United States, from the time they got independence, declaring that they're democracy, the time they allowed even black people to vote, is about 250 years. If you look 230 something years. If you look at Britain from the Magna Carta up to the time they really become a democracy is about 700 years. France from the French Revolution of 1789 to end of the Second World War when they become a full democracy is another period of 200 something years. So the bottom line is this, that even when I'm going to write something, I put in a lot of effort. People think you can sit on the computer and shoot off their views. Yes. In fact, I think that social media has also debased the development of intellectualism in Uganda. Because I have seen a lot of studies that show that when somebody is writing something and they know it's going to be peer reviewed, somebody is going to review it and say it's worth publishing, they're more careful in the way they develop the argument. But when someone has their Facebook page, they can go and write anything there.
Yes, I want us to discuss social media a little bit later, but for now, you're talking about yourself starting writing and as a passion in your...
Then making it a profession.
Yes.
Remember, I was passionate about writing. Then I went to study journalism, and I continued with journalism. So my passion was I added skill, acquired learning from school, to my natural passion to be the journalist.
How do you come to that decision as an individual?
I made that because I was a journalist from the age of 6. I was, even when I was in my primary school, I went to primary in 1978. And when I was in primary, Idi Amin attacked Tanzania. So the hottest news was the war between Uganda and Tanzania. And I would listen to my dad and his colleagues listening to news and discussing the implications of the news. I would go to my P2 class or P1 in November 1978. So in 1979 I go to P2. I would be in P2 and I would report to the students, this is what happened, and then I would give an analysis. So this idea of news reporting and analysis is something that has I have been since I was 6. So, having accumulated that passion, I had already a passion for reading and I had a passion for news reporting and analysis. Then I go and do a degree in it. In fact, with hindsight, I should not have studied journalism. I don't feel there is much I studied in journalism school which I needed to spend in time at university.
You feel that you already had?
Yes, I could maybe have studied pure political science and political, although I studied political science as well with my journalism. So, but the bottom line is that, so here you have a passion with an acquired skill for the same passion, which is
An added advantage.
the third advantage is, I must also admit, there was some form of social capital. My family, relatives, friends, and others helped me, and my father's name helped me reach particular people. And those people had developed confidence in me. I'll give you an example. I think the only journalist in Uganda who's interviewed Milton Obote. My dad had been a supporter of UPC and a friend to Milton Obote. So when I reached there and Obote knew who my dad was, he was a peer of UPC for Porto. He was very excited. So from that time, I could go to Obote's home as if I was his own child. And therefore I had interviews. There are so many things that make you a successful journalist, more than the skills you have acquired in school. The skills that make you successful as a journalist, the ability to reach people and they confide in you. All through my career, I see many people in the opposition don't miss this fact. I made my career as a journalist reporting news from inside cabinet, from inside state house, from inside the army high command, the high echelons. If my friends and allies were in the opposition, I could never have access to that kind of information. So I had allies in the state.
Was that attributed to your father, the fact that he was connected, or there's individual credit on?
They're my relatives, my family, my friends. This social network I tell you about. For example, I had people who were in the intelligence who were friends to my siblings, or who were friends to my friends or to my cousins. I could have been to their homes, and from there, they become sources of information. I could go anywhere, whether it was State House in Tebe or anywhere, and my different friendships and the relationships, biological or otherwise, or in-laws, helped me open so many doors.
Does that mean that Nova, who doesn't have such people in those circles,
you have a disadvantage? It's not that you cannot achieve, it's simply that you have a disadvantage. But also remember that you can have all those people in those circles, but you don't have the right interpersonal skills to make people trust you and tell you things. You don't reach out to people. Because there are so many people who could even be better connected than me, who would never be made better reporters. No, because maybe they don't have the interpersonal skill to reach out to social information, and they feel confident to speak to you.
They might not even have the proposal to put to the table and say, this is what I want to do, how can you help me?
And now I'm giving you an example as a journalist. To be a good journalist, how do you reach President Museveni to give you an interview? How do you reach President Kagame or President Uhuru?
Please give me that, I need it.
But this is what I'm saying. It is something, I think that a lot of what we call journalism is an individual inborn rather than a trained skill. The ability to relate to people and talk to them and get them to trust you or to give you interviews. I don't know. I don't think, so I'm saying I should not even have studied journalism at university. There's nothing I studied at university that helped me in my journalism career.
Sure.
Very little, maybe 5%. For all that I have done in journalism, because in journalism may be learning how to read, to write, but you can acquire the skill of writing without having to go to journalism school. Look, one of the best journalists I know in Uganda right now is Kanere Bugube. He's the best television journalist. He's not been to school.
Hosting him next week.
Yes, he's never been to journalism school. He studied the ICT at university. So what is it that makes him very successful? You see, I don't think that to be a successful journalist, passion, and once you have the passion, you can then build the skill without even going to university. That is one. Two, if you have, the second thing you need is good people skills. How to get people to talk to you is not an easy thing. I used to host a radio show in Uganda. So let me give you an example. The thing that I think, yes, on KFM called Mwenda Live, from March 2001 to June 2006. In those 5 years and 3 months when I hosted that show, it was the best talk show in Uganda. And became the best talk show in the first 3, 4, 5 months of launching it. One advantage I came with, I was already a non-investigative journalist at Monitor. So I had a mountain of information. And remember, if you're hosting a show, people need information. Right now in Uganda, I can tell you there is no show at all where people can go and learn something new. Very few shows do it regularly. So if you can...
We have so many shows. We have Tamale Mirundi, we have other people.
I don't know, I have never watched Tamale Mirundi's show. The little that I have a glimpse at, one day on the radio show, he is giving his opinion. You see, there's a difference between fact and opinion. Let me give you an example. If I sat on this show and I said, yesterday, President Museveni had a meeting with the army, the chief of the army, David Muhoozi, with the chief of military intelligence, Kanyo, and the chief of ISO, called Kaka, and the head of the external security, Ochwet, and then he said, now that we're going to an election, I want you to deploy soldiers in this and this and this. I have 500 million shillings for you per day to do ABC.
I hope that's an example, it's not a fact.
It's not a fact, I'm just illustrating it. You see, if you are a reader, a listener, a viewer, what are you getting? You are able to enter the top echelons of decision making in security and bring people information. Do you see? That's different from me sitting and saying, you know, Museveni must be planning to steal elections. You see? So the distinction between Andrew Mwenda Live and many of the shows that I try to listen to, and I get so bored, that's why I don't listen to talk shows in Uganda, whether on radio or, is too much opinionated. In any case, I believe that opinion must be backed by fact. So, what we say, informed opinion. If you come to give opinion, I'm writing an opinion on democracy in Mali. How many facts am I trying to accumulate? The whole of this morning, if you look on my phone, I've been searching material on Mali. I want to read about it. So if I write an opinion, just go to my Facebook page.
I follow your Facebook page.
Yes.
Actually.
Go to my Facebook page. I have written about the youth elections. Look at the data that is there. I've written about
statistics. I love the statistics.
Yes. So when I'm giving an opinion, I have a mountain of information on which I'm seated, which informs. Now, a person can disagree with my interpretation, but at least even the one who disagrees with me will walk away when they have at least acquired a set of facts. There is another article I published last week on Besuje election. You see a lot of data on polling data. So I believe that the opinion must be informed. If any new journalist in Uganda begins a talk show where there is a mountain of information, you see, you don't need to possess the information you as a journalist. You can get those who have that information to come and give it. There is a talk show I hosted between Nobo Mayombo and Chiza Besigye. I have it on my phone. If you listen to it, Nobo Mayombo comes and accuses Besigye of many things. He said, on this and this day, you went to Dubai, you checked into Jumeirah Hotel, room number 449. Then you called your agent in London, called the time on telephone number, this and this and this. You asked him to do this. And you see, and this is a chief of military intelligence, it's possible Mayombo could have forged this information and was lying. But when a chief of military intelligence is speaking, at that time Besigye was in exile, where the chief of military intelligence is bringing out his facts, you really want
Don't take it for granted.
You need to sit and listen because he is intriguing you, he's giving facts. You see, so if I don't have the facts, I get the person who has the facts to come and I extract them from him. So the things that made my show successful was my natural curiosity. So if a person came on my show, they found I was armed with facts and they could not come and beat around the bush. If you come as a government official, you would get devastated. You have to come prepared. The other part of the show was that I got the greatest people. How many presidents? There's no presidents in this region who never appeared on my show. Bashir of South Sudan. I even hosted Kwanya's deputy, Vincent Oti. I hosted the commander of ADF when they were rebels. I hosted Milton Obote, Kenneth Kaunda, Mukapa. Only boy also did not show up. President Kagame, President Museveni, practically any president who visited Uganda, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, he's even currently, he came back as Prime Minister, an old man of 95 years, Mahathir Mohamad, the President of Costa Rica, Jose Maria Figueres. If anyone mattered in the world, I hosted them on that show.
So don't you think that as one of the best probably journalists in Uganda, instead of saying I do not watch talk shows in Uganda, don't you think you should get a way of guiding these young journalists on how they are supposed to do their profession, to run their profession? There
are some journalists who are close to me, whom I mentor, and who are already beginning to do that. And yeah, so I think that even if you listen, I have do a radio show every week on Friday on KFM. The same Andrew Mwenda Live now called the Hot Seat, we do it Friday panel. I have young intellectuals whom I have been training and cultivating to become good debaters. And soon I may transfer that show to television. But they are not in the field of journalism, the ones who come there, most of them are not. Yeah.
So does that mean that very soon we are seeing another Andrew Mwenda or some other Andrew Mwendas?
I don't know, because Kim Kanis at NBS has always wanted me to host a television show there. I wonder where they can find the time. In any case, I feel I have grown old, and the young people who are coming who should be given that space. Seriously, I feel like I should continue and exit from the mass media.
You might probably want to give space to these
the young people,
but when they still need your guidance and to
so I can do that from the background rather than doing it on the front by me being on TV. The second thing I think of doing, other than I also think that I have played my role in journalism and I need to pursue other passions that I have other than being a president. Even UBC have always asked me to do a television show there. At one time I came close to saying yes, and then I again held back.